Hello, everyone. This is Sasha with the LTRC. Thank you for joining us for how to find new clients online with Legal Leads with our sponsor for Legal Leads as part of the LTRC Industry Insight Series held every Wednesday. Our speakers today are Jennifer Wingerter and Vince Wingerter. Jennifer Wingerter is the Director of Operations at forlegalleads.com. She's committed to providing top-of-the-line customer service and quality experience to both lawyers and consumers while maintaining a workplace where team members are excited to drive clients towards success. Vince Wingerter is the CEO and founder of forlegalleads.com, one of the fastest-growing companies on the Inc. 5000, and he has helped connect legal consumers and lawyers for 20 years. With his passion for 100% marketing attribution, he has been a leader in his field for online marketing since the late 90s and is a member of the Young Entrepreneur Council. Thank you all for joining us. We'll now begin the webinar.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Vince Wingerter, and I am the CEO and founder of forlegalleads.com. I've been in this industry for over 20 years, since the late 90s, back before Google AdWords was a thing. Back when it was Rocket Links, which became GoTo, which became Overture, which became Yahoo Search Marketing. And since then, I've been doing advertising for the legal vertical, and then grew that into the company as it exists today, which is forlegalleads.com. About 10 years ago, we stopped being just a wholesaler, and we started opening up to retail attorneys directly. And since then, actually, forlegalleads.com has connected millions of prospective clients to attorneys all across the United States. We're basically a nationwide company. Currently, we're only in the United States, but we serve attorneys all across the nation. We are in over 40 different categories and growing. Obviously, the most popular categories tend to be things like MVA, motor vehicle accidents, workers' comp, personal injury, that sort of thing, as well as bankruptcy, social security disability, immigration, but we handle a lot of other niche categories as well. You know, whether it's lemon law or probates in the states, wills and trusts, that sort of thing. We have some exciting announcements. We've been doing this and continue to grow each year. We've been piloting Spanish-speaking leads over the last year, and that's beginning to roll out more robustly. So in the coming months, if your firm is able to handle Spanish, we are actually making huge inroads into helping close that justice gap and connect Spanish-speaking prospective clients to attorneys as well who are needing to hire an attorney in that area. So let us go ahead and jump into one of the first poll questions that we're going to ask later, which is, could your law firm improve its ability to connect with potential clients online? So currently we see, we actually have incoming thousands of calls per day, and thousands of leads actually represent actual consumer intent where they're seeking a lawyer. So one of the most common objections when we do have our objections, when someone is approaching us very curious about our legal program, is that they're already advertising online. So the first question they ask usually is, well, I'm already doing Google AdWords, so why do I need you guys? And so the bottom line is we're getting thousands of prospects a day looking for attorneys in 40+ categories in states all across the United States. And so the people on our network basically are the ones that get connected to those prospects. We, of course, I've been doing advertising for 20+ years. We have tons of in-house native advertising and campaigns and networks out there. And basically, if you're already doing Google AdWords, you really have nothing to lose by using for legal leads, because the bottom line is if those consumers don't connect to you, they're connecting to your competitors. So really, for legal leads is the perfect way for you to focus more on case management while we bring additional prospects to your company. I like to say that, if you think of all the consumers out there, the millions of people seeking legal help, every month across the United States, those people are going to be looking for an attorney, and you will capture some of those even with your own traditional print media. The bottom line is there's other shares of the pie. And so we capture huge segments of that population, and then we try to connect them to all our clients at forlegalleads.com. And really, we're kind of an arbiter serving two goals. We're trying to make it, of course, profitable and a business model that makes sense for our lawyers, but we're also trying to help close the justice gap and get legal help to consumers who otherwise don't know where to look or how to connect. to an attorney. So really the benefits, which we'll touch on later, is simply to get more prospects in the pipeline. Firms sometimes will say to us that they're extraordinarily busy. And this, by the way, these objections, like, I'm really proud of our support team. Usually, we don't do a lot of outbound marketing B2B. A lot of the law firms that come to us are all through referral. And we have a really high closing rate of new law firm clients onboarding with us because it's such a transparent process. We don't require long-term contracts. We, you have the ability to pause your account at any time. And yeah, we just have a really friendly model that works for the law firms. But one of the objections sometimes we do get, in the rare case we get an objection, is a law firm will say they're already too busy. So we really believe Leads lets you basically have more prospective clients to choose and connect to that makes sense for your practice. And lets you take away from wasting that time on marketing efforts so that you can hone in and focus on what you went to law school for, which is basically to serve the client and grow the practice. So what is a legal lead? When we've been doing this as long as we have, for 20 years, we kind of take it for granted that a lot of companies out there already know what a legal lead is. One thing to know is what a legal lead is not. We don't do any co-registration. We don't do any incentivized advertising. We're not doing any outbound dialers or email blasts. One of the things I'm very proud of is that every lead or phone, whether it's a web lead or phone call, which we'll get into, generated through forlegalleads.com, is all consumer intent driven. That means that every consumer is coming to us looking for legal help in a specific category. They don't always know which category that is sometimes. And they are, we help them figure out which area of law that they need an attorney for, and then based on location, we get those out to attorneys. So the main thing for us is the intent. We're looking for intent. People are coming in, they're needing a lawyer, they're needing a certain category in their area, and then connecting those people to a lawyer in real time. That serves the needs of both the consumer and the lawyer as well. And then, of course, as you get more familiar with our company, and Jennifer can go into this later, every category is a little different. If it's for motor vehicles accidents, we're confirming, was another identifiable party at fault for the accident? Do they already have an attorney? What was the statute of limitations? Was this a recent accident? If it's bankruptcy, we might be confirming that they actually have total debt. And if that, total debt is something that in a category that you can help with. Those are the kind of things we do for Legal Leads, basically to not only save the lawyer's time, but save the consumer time as well. So it's the best experience for everyone. So let's go ahead and jump into a little graphic here on web leads versus live calls. So traditionally, for the last 20 years, for Legal Leads specialized specifically in web leads. We were there for the whole rise of desktop giving over to mobile and ad campaigns and all that. And now, of course, 90% of people are on their mobile phones. So as time shifted, so did we. And the majority of our attorneys still take web leads. What is that exactly? It's people simply requesting online that an attorney contact them as soon as possible for their legal situation in their category in the given location. But now we also, as well, for the last few years, have been doing live calls. And so that is basically the same thing. We basically connect with the attorney directly to whatever the best number is for the intake for their firm. The consumer on the phone or when they need live calls. All our attorneys actually use both. The advantage being, of course, with live calls, you're connected right away. You don't have to play phone tag, and it works really good during office hours. And web leads, all our attorneys take as well, because as you know, people are seeking legal help after hours, late at night, they have legal issues bothering them. So a lot of the firms, whether they're smaller, huge firms, do both, so they can make sure they keep the prospects incoming. Our leads are exclusive, and we'll touch on that later, but what that means basically is, unlike other home service companies, say like an Angie's List, you're not racing to contact the lead before other attorneys. So we don't sell the lead to multiple attorneys. We don't think that's good for the consumer. We don't think that's good for you. So basically what we do is we try to connect every consumer with one law firm. And that's reflected that's reflected in the pricing. Sometimes you'll see companies out there that try to lowball the pricing, but then they're selling the lead 4 or 5 times. And also you have to be careful. I was going to touch on it later, but I'll touch on it now. When we say exclusive, we truly mean a one client to one lawyer relationship. A few other competitors are throwing around the term exclusive, meaning they've just limited that area or that city to 4 or 5 attorneys. But when we say exclusive, we really mean exclusive. And of course, finally, real-time delivery. Real-time delivery means just what it sounds like. 98% of the time, we connect the lead and phone call in real time to the attorney as soon as it comes in, within seconds to minutes. I say 98% of the time because we do a lot of quality control. So occasionally we will flag a lead for manual review to double check if something pulls up that makes the lead look like, maybe the number is disconnected that the consumer put in or something like that. Sometimes we'll double check those things. But we get everything out in real time because obviously the faster you respond to that lead, the better, again, it is for the consumer, the better it is for your conversion rate, and they don't think that you don't care, and move on to another law firm, thinking it's a reflection of the service they're going to get. So have you worked with a lead generation company before is another poll question. It's going to flip right here. Yeah, so have you worked with a lead generation company before? So what we are not an SEO company. We're not a website company. We're not trying to improve your website. We're not trying to generate you ranking on the top 5, 10 keywords. We're familiar with SEO. We're familiar with SEM. My experience being in SEM. So SEO, for those who don't know, is search engine optimization. You guys, all your law firms get calls from people who try to get you to spend a bunch of money so you can rank on few keywords. Search engine management is basically the behind the scenes at all the ad platforms, paying for specific keywords and targeting, which is in my background over 20 years. So we're different from that. We're also not trying to design your website or improve it. Basically, the nice thing about forlegalese.com is that it's all can be separate from your marketing, and it's in addition to your marketing, or it can replace your marketing. Meaning you no longer have to log into Google and wonder, why your CPA targets aren't making sense, or why, your competitors are bidding things up so much. Yet at the same time, if you consider yourself, kind of a self-guru on online advertising, which, some law firms do that are, been doing this for a while, basically participating in the forlegalese.com network doesn't affect that. Because the bottom line, again, are those consumers already coming into us. And so, if you were already feeling like you're tapped out and you've conquered, all online platforms, then forlegalese.com is just another segment to get more prospective clients into your pipeline. We're different than other lead companies in that, as I mentioned, everything's real time, truly exclusive. But we also have a very fair return process. Meaning, if someone already has an attorney, we realize that in many states you're not allowed to help them. We consider that an invalid lead, obviously disconnected number if the consumer mistypes it. Someone puts in that they need a certain area of law, say criminal defense, and you find out they're actually a victim, they're not defending against charges. These are returns that you can actually place into our system and we'll give you credit to use towards other leads. It all flows pretty quickly. And then, other invalid reasons, include like if it's outside the statute of limitations or that sort of thing, and the consumer was mistaken. In those cases, of course, where someone puts the wrong location stuff down, we will try to, of course, connect that to another attorney so those people can get help, but you won't have to pay for those leads that are invalid and you should never have gone free practice in the first place. And so those are just a few things. The other thing that makes us really different from other companies, which we're proud of, I think it's more of a testimony to our company and the quality and kind of our long-term goals, which is to have all our law firms be clients with us for years, is that we're not really looking for a one-time payoff. We're not that SEO company looking for you to come in, fund your money, and then never hear from you again. So the reason we kind of back that up is there's no long-term contracts. You can fund your account whenever you want. So leads go to you, and you're part of that rotation. You can pause your account if it's not working for you and ask for a prorated refund. We have an invalid lead return process, and again, most of our clients and our growth on the Inc. 5000 have come from referrals and just attorneys who hear about us and come in to us every day asking to set up an account. So what are the benefits of legalese? Because a lot of law firms have been doing billboard advertising over the years. They've been doing television. They've been doing mailers, all the things. So basically, legalese, of course, lets you scale your law firm. one of the interesting things, which we'll touch on later after Jennifer speaks, is the pandemic has really accelerated things online. So if you are in a really advanced law firm, or even if you're not yet, you might have your CRM working, you have your intake team or someone in your office that helps you, and maybe you're doing it yourself. And we have law firms that have their own call centers, and we have law firms that are with a solo practicing attorney, trying to increase their business. The benefits of legalese is basically it maximizes those other software stacks. So you have your CRM set up, you have your intake process set up. This helps you increase the amount of prospective prospects. I think that's a little redundant. Potential prospects that are coming into your pipeline, so that you really can keep busy between all your casework throughout the week. So basically, yeah, it lets you focus on your casework. Now, I will come back later and we'll talk a little bit more specifically about what we've seen over the last year during the pandemic, because, well, our business has grown every year, over the last 20 years. We really saw actually some record growth here at the mid and end of 2021, accelerated by the pandemic. And that's really been attributed to a lot of not just our success, but the success other law firms are having online. And so we'll touch on that soon, which I'm excited to talk to you about. But let me turn it over to Jennifer, basically our Director of Operations, who heads up and oversees the support team leader, and really can go into the whole process of getting started with this.
Hi, everybody. I am Jennifer Wingerter. I am the Director of Operations, as Vince said, over here at forlegalleads.com. One thing I am absolutely the most proud of about our company is our sales and support team. We have a group of incredible people who are here 100% for the success of you, our attorneys. And we want to make sure that you have the best experience possible with the leads. So based on everything that Vince has said, there's a lot to be successful with the leads, as long as you have an understanding of what leads are and what you're going for and how to communicate. So I'll get started with how to get started. You can go to forlegalleads.com. Very easy. You select I am an attorney and you go ahead and create an account. Of course, you can peruse the beautiful website that Matt created for us. But when you create an account, it's going to ask you your basic contact information. It takes you maybe a minute and a half. Not a lot of time in your day, and you will get reached out to immediately by one of my team. They will send you an email, they'll give you a call, whichever you prefer, and we will go over some basic questions so that we can tailor your account to exactly what you're looking for. The category of law or categories that you would like to focus on for your firm, and then the targeted geographical area. So we can, of course, target the full nation, send you leads from all over the United States, but it's likely you cannot necessarily handle leads, say, from Montana if you are a firm based in Florida. So we can target the full state of Florida, for example, or we can target several counties in your area, even down to the minutia of a zip code radius. So a 20-mile radius around the zip code of your firm. That gives you the most potential to convert as many leads as possible for your firm. That's our goal, right? So we collect your categories of law that you want to focus on, the geographic area. We also then offer you the option to take on live calls along with the web leads. So the web leads, as Vince said, are leads that have filled out a lead form and we send it to you in real time and exclusively. There are also people who say they like to use the phone a little bit better than filling out that form. They call in, they potentially will speak with our call center. They'll collect all of the information necessary to make sure that we are sending you the correct type of lead. And then in real time, we will ring your phone with that person on the line. So you have the option to include live calls with the web leads. And the live calls we can actually go ahead and schedule for the days of the week and hours of the day that best suit your availability, because the last thing we want is to have somebody on the phone and you not be able to answer the phone. So that's the specification we're going to get from you. and we'll get a sense of what your firm does and how we can best help you. It takes next to no time to get up and going. So you create the account, we communicate with you about what you're looking for and set up the account for you. And then all you have to do is log in and fund your account. As simple and as easy as that. How much do you fund? As much or as little as you wish. We have funding bonuses available to you that you can take advantage of for certain levels of funding, just free money to use toward leads. And then we also give you an opportunity, let's see, to, while you're funding your account, you can fund as much or as little as you wish. We say about 10 to 20 leads worth. So if you are, for example, a family law attorney, leads are $40 per lead, fund your account for about 10 leads. That's what we recommend. Motor vehicle accident, depending on the state, average about $250 per lead, fund your account for about 10 leads. That gives you a good sense of how many leads per 10 or 20 you're going to convert to make sure that you are getting bang for your buck. Now, what are the best practices associated with converting these leads? So you get 10 leads, right? How do you make sure that those 10 leads are successful for you? Well, they all won't be. That's just pure fact. Leads are leads, they're not guarantees, but the goal is to have as many convert as possible so that it makes sense for your ROI. So how do you do that? Well, the firms who are not afraid of getting lots of leads are the ones that we see sticking around for a long time. They're the ones that we see having the most success. Now, not everybody has the budget for that, and we understand. But what we do recommend is don't give up after 3 leads. We could send you the best 3 leads that we've ever received. They happen to go to you. And then you get the 4th and it's a dud. And your expectations are like, well, what happened? You were so good. What happened to your 4th lead? Or we could send you 3 not so great leads at first. And you say, that's it. I'm pulling my funds, because you can. And you never give an opportunity to the leads to maybe that 6th or 7th was the best case you've ever received. So my recommendation is don't give up too soon, right? So firms that have committed to at least a good number of leads before making any sort of decision. Now that is if you can handle the leads. Intake is so important. Have somebody dedicated, or have a team, or use an intake service, whatever fits your firm the best, to take in each lead as quickly as possible, make a connection, a personal connection with each lead, and determine, is it a valid lead first and foremost? Is it the correct category? Is it the correct location, right? Is that person not represented? All of these things we should be doing and are doing in advance, but perhaps they gave us inaccurate information. If that inaccurate information got through to you, you can request credit for that lead, and we will credit you for that lead. Not only does that help your ROI, gets you one more lead, right? It gives us the feedback we need to be more clear in our advertising, to find patterns of odd things that maybe we can nip in the bud before they waste your time and all of our other attorneys' time. We actually care about the lead quality. So any lead that gets through to you that is invalid, we want to hear about it. And that's why we have the return policy in place. There are a lot of generation companies out there that say, we're not going to do returns. We'll make it easy for you, easy for us. You just pay this amount and that's it. And that doesn't serve anybody, because then quality just drops because there's no communication. So that's another thing that's going to really help your firm's success is communication, right? Return leads that are invalid. We see that, we make that happen. Now, not every lead will be invalid that isn't the best lead. What do I mean by that? Not every lead is going to convert into a case. But the idea, as I said before, is enough will that it makes up for the others and gains you exactly what you're looking for from lead generation. We want you to be successful. So communicate with us, not just the returns, we see that, but if you're getting not so great leads, email us, the support@forlegalleads.com. We will reach out to you. You reach out to us. We like that communication because getting a sense of what you're seeing from your end helps us, again, improve that lead quality. Use that intake solution, whether that's somebody in your firm or somebody outside your firm, to reach out to those leads immediately, as I said. Keep following up. If you don't reach a lead right away, perhaps that person was at work. Perhaps that person, if it's a motor vehicle accident, was in the hospital and unable to answer the phone at the time. There's always some reason. Yes, there are some disconnected numbers that are just disconnected numbers. And sometimes there are voicemails that you get that maybe that person just, who knows, right? Eventually, we will help you get credit for those types of leads. But don't give up after one call. That person could be the best case of your life. So follow-up is important, and then record keeping, right? Keep track of what leads are successful for you, which leads you've gotten credit for, which leads you still need to keep up with because maybe down the line that person will need your help. That's also very important for your success. And we're always here to answer questions. And I'm very excited to answer any of your questions at the end. We thrive on questions from our attorneys. We hope that we will have the honor of working with you, because that's what it is. It's a partnership, it's a relationship. It's not necessarily a product. Yes, you're gonna get leads, but it's a living, breathing organism in that we are constantly updating our campaigns and our lead quality because we get that feedback from you. So that communication, I can't emphasize enough, is so important. I think that Vince was going to talk about the pandemic a little bit here.
Yeah, here we go. Just touching up on a couple points Jennifer just said, which were excellent, is yeah, communication is great. I could geek out all day on attribution and dispositions, which is the ability for attorneys to come into our system. Because there is, of course, a back office system where you can access your leads. And you can actually, let us know, when you were able to close a case, when you weren't. We're eventually going to use those signals even more to help tweak advertising to try to drive not just the leads that are valid, but the leads that help you close cases. Not just close cases, I'm sorry, but leads that turn into cases, clients. And then criminal defense and lemon law expansion. So Jennifer mentioned feedback from attorneys. Two great examples of this is we recently, even though we separate some of our legal categories into subcategories like criminal defense, criminal appeals, criminal expungement, we recently added an additional pending charges question to confirm that there was pending charges in place. These are the kind of things we do based on feedback from our attorneys. We recently just did a lemon law expansion that's rolling out this week where we are collecting for our lemon law attorneys a further question, 2 questions confirming that there's a lemon law warranty in place and that they've had to have servicing for the vehicle. So we're always looking for things that obviously, so much attention gets put on, workers' comp and auto accident injury and personal injury and those different categories. But even on the niche categories, we work with the attorneys there to improve those categories. So before we get into the pandemic, because I'll be bringing up intake, one other thing to know is when you set up your account, leads are delivered to you. Well, if it's a phone call, it's a live phone call. If it's by web lead, we can email the lead or different intake people at your firm. You can get text message notifications, that sort of thing. But we can also connect to any tech stack, which we'll get into in just a sec. So, as you know, it's been a rough year, last year for everyone. The pandemic hit. Luckily, our company was in a great position, despite a lot of the awfulness around the world, because we were already mostly cloud-based. And so for our team, it wasn't a huge change technology-wise or process-wise. It was interesting, and mostly it was calls from firms and things just asking for reassurance with how business was going, talking to us about what's happening in their business. And what we noticed is in around April, I'd say, we did get several emails from firms that had to shut their brick and mortar offices down, depending on the location and what states they were in. And so we did see a bit of that. But what was fascinating to us over 2020 and here into 2021 is actually we saw huge growth after that momentary blip because law firms doubled down online. Basically, lawyers are pretty competitive. They have huge goals. Um, they have strong work ethics, and so they wanted to keep scaling their law firms. So the bottom line is they didn't just sit back and wait. The really successful law firms came to us, and they basically said, yes, I need to make sure my marketing is going at all times for lead generation. I'd like to know how we can expand, how we can increase that. And some of those law firms experienced record growth, as we did as well, as everyone went online, because the bottom line is this. The consumers are still out there needing legal help, and they can no longer walk into your offices in some locations. So everyone is shifting online even more than they already were. And the truth is this has been going on for years, but suddenly firms who had maybe not invested as much in this area as they should have, or maybe had been like, no, you know what, I'm fine in my brick and mortar office, have been missing this huge share of those seeking legal help out there. And so this accelerated not just lead generation, but as you know, all tech stacks. So intake processes, law firm payment, DocuSign companies, all the different stuff you do for your full law practice management. So the bottom line is using a lead generation company during these times not only helps you be available and find the consumers that need attorneys, but it's not going to go away. As you know, consumers are going to continue to search out law firms as they have, and it's continuing to grow as they become more comfortable with it. So what we're finding is now the silver lining of this tragedy has been that the successful law firms are now in place to scale their business even more, even as we come out of this pandemic. So one of the things we're really proud of at For Legal Leads is our ability to integrate pretty much with any other software you have. Really, the caveat to that is it just needs to have an endpoint so they allow us to connect. Most companies do. So that means, for example, if you're using Clio, like Clio Grow, no problem. You give us your Clio token, we can immediately, within a day or two, have leads populate in your Clio Grow system right away. You're using Captora, no problem. You're using Zapier to connect to your own system, no problem. You're using Law Ruler or Alert Communications or LegalSoft, Intake Service, no problem. We can connect to all those systems. You simply let us know, and not only can you get your leads delivered to you by email or text or phone in real time, but we can make sure those appear right in your CRM or law practice management system. This, of course, allows you to scale, and it's just something we're really proud of. What we've seen during this pandemic is that the pandemic really changed how people thought about who their prospective clients were. For example, in our industry, it's very common for auto accident injury attorneys who are very competitive to come in and be like, I want the whole state. I want every lead in the state, or to be considered rotation for it with my competitors, because they're trying to make the most money, get the most clients and cases possible. And then it's very common that we'll see a family law attorney come to us and say, you know what, I can only take clients within 15 minutes because I want them to walk into my office. So one of the things that was interesting in the pandemic, similar to doctors and telemedicine, is attorneys quickly realized as they were helping people online, signing documents online, having Zoom calls like this, that they could service clients farther away. So we've seen law firms scale tremendously because the pandemic has actually shown that consumers are willing to connect to them online if they have all the pieces in place. The other thing we've seen during the pandemic, which was extraordinarily interesting, is that categories. A lot of you, of course, you don't go to law school to specialize in one area necessarily. You can practice different areas of law. And practice that doesn't always work out, of course, but we found that a lot of lawyers came to us asking if they can add a different category that's tangent or just adjacent to what they're already doing. So maybe they specialize in auto injuries, but they wanted to take on slip and fall cases, or vice versa, or there's other examples here. But basically, yeah, we've seen a category expansion. We've seen firms that have started to expand into other states, where their firm has basically opened up other branches in other states because things are scaling for them so well with their company. So those are some of the silver linings that we've seen. One thing to add is, in addition to the Spanish leads, which we're rolling out with more and more volume over the next month, we will also have an integration page coming soon to the back office in your For Legal Leads portal. So what that means is right now we can pretty much connect to anything, but you email support, they forward it to our tech team, we get you set up. Some systems take a week, some systems take a day, depending on how easy it is. But soon we'll have an integration that will list some of our most common integrations and exactly what we need from you to help facilitate that process.
That is going to be all the time that we have for today. I'd like to thank our sponsor for legalleads.com once more and everyone for attending. If anyone's curious about future webinars, you can check out the ABA LTRC page or follow our Twitter at LTRC. One more time, thank you, Jennifer and Vince, for your presentation today. You can keep up with,
Sasha,
yeah, sure, go ahead.
We will be at Tech Show next week. And we're also in the prize passports. So definitely be sure to stop by.
Stop by, meet my team.
Yeah, talk everyone one-on-one, because then you can get like tailored responses and, and talk about your firm's specific needs in terms of leads, calls, categories, locations, expansion, tech stack, what you're trying to connect to, all that stuff.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you for reminding them. All right, everyone, have a good one.